Welcome back to the next episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation Next tournament here on the Homeboys channel. Today we have Yusuke Fujiwara going up against Aster Phoenix. So Yusuke was actually one of the people who was possessed by darkness, and he actually had a very cool deck in my opinion, which was the clear deck. So the clear deck is made of very few monsters and a couple of spells, and essentially they're all dark monsters, but they have the effect that when they're on the field they don't have an attribute. They're not treated as any attribute whatsoever, and the whole point of this is it's to take advantage of their field spell, Clear World. So with Clear World, you receive a negative, both players receive a negative effect for every monster on their field that has an attribute, like based on the attribute. So with light, you have to show your opponent your hand at all times. With dark, you can never attack. With earth, at the end or at some point during your turn, you have to destroy one of your monsters. With water, at the end of your turn, you throw away a card in your hand. With fire, you take 1,000 damage at the end of your turn. And with wind, you can't activate spell cards whatsoever. So, it's a very potent field spell that can affect every single deck in this tournament. And it's just really powerful, especially the earth, wind, and dark effects. And to further abuse this, you actually have a trap card here, attribute Chameleon. And there's a lot of ways to draw and search in this deck, or to thin your deck, so that's why I only have the one copy of the trap card. Otherwise, having just two could be uber consistent and it would just be incredibly unfair. But attribute Chameleon actually lets you change the attribute of one of your opponent's monsters until the end of the turn. So if they have, let's say, two monsters and one effect was, I have a light monster, I have to show you my hand, you change another one to fire, and now it's like, not only do you show me your hand, but you're going to take 1,000 this turn. So attribute Chameleon is really cool. The actual monsters themselves aren't too notable, so there's really nothing to say. I will give a shout out to their boss monster, their Clear Vice Dragon, where when he attacks one of your opponent's monsters, he becomes double their attack, but then he switches to defense mode, which, he has 0 defense, and you have to throw away cards from your hand in order to keep him alive, by battle at least. So there's that. With so many dark monsters, you do have 3 Allure of Darkness to banish them to draw 2 cards. And with banishing going on with some of the other spells in this deck, you have Return from the Different Dimension, Escape from the Dark Dimension, and Nihilistic Summoning Technique to summon back your banished dark monsters. So that's pretty cool. As for the side deck, since there is banishing and there are dark monsters, the side deck consists mostly of light monsters so that you could run a chaos theme. And for those of you not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh!, Chaos in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is essentially where you banish a light and a dark from your graveyard to summon a new monster. And that's the entire theme behind it. I'm not going to really go over these effects because, honestly, this deck is so good, who knows if we're even going to see them. But the big monster I will really point out here is Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So you can summon him by banishing 3 monsters from your graveyard that are light and or dark. If you banish only light monsters, you can summon anyone from your graveyard, but it has to come in defense position. If you banish only dark monsters, you can shuffle a card in your opponent's hand, but it has to be random. And if you banish both light and dark to summon this dragon, you can destroy any 2 cards that are on the field. So really cool stuff, very powerful, very versatile. Let's see what Aster Phoenix has. So Aster having a hero deck means that it has a lot of components to it, but generally it's pretty simple. There's not as much going on as it would appear. So the Destiny heroes actually are about controlling your destiny, so a lot of their effects happen in the future. For example, Doomlord sends a monster in the future. It removes it from the field for about 4 turns or so. Captain Tenacious can bring back a monster that was destroyed in the previous turn while he was on the field already. So, when you summon him, you want to basically plan ahead and say, okay, I'm summoning him now at this time, I'm going to protect him, that way I can bring back this monster that died, and things like that. That's the nature of how a lot of these effects work and whatnot. You have a good number of draw and stall support here. You have the Pot of Greed, the Graceful Charity, Terraforming to Search, Swords to Stall, 2 Destiny Draw, which is another Pot of Greed, 2 Destiny Draw, which is another Pot of Greed. The most notable spell card would actually be your field spell here, the Clock Tower Prison. And it's really good because as time will move forward on the Clock Tower, time will move forward on the clock tower during every one of your opponent's standby phases, and you know, you'll get 1 counter essentially. When this has 4 counters on it, you officially don't take any battle damage at all anymore. And that by itself is really, really powerful, because there is not a whole lot of cards in the entire tournament that can do effect damage, and a good amount of them also say, hey, you know, I have to do this in order to do that effect damage. So Clock Tower Prison could be the ultimate stall card for this tournament, but also, you know, it's a prison for a reason. It's keeping somebody trapped inside, and when you have at least 4 counters on it and the Clock Tower Prison gets destroyed, you get to summon out one of your 3 boss monsters, Destiny Hero Dreadmaster. And now when Dreadmaster gets summoned, you get to actually, you know, he has 0 points, but when Dreadmaster is summoned, he brings back 2 Destiny Heroes, and his attack is equal to all the attack of all the Destiny Heroes on the field. Also, the turn that you summon him, you know, none of your Destiny Heroes can be destroyed by battle or by card effects, so Dreadmaster can be insanely difficult to deal with, especially on that first turn. And this deck actually has ways of destroying its own field spells, so that's also a plus. The other 2 boss monsters of the deck are Destiny Hero Dogma, who you can special summon him by tributing any 3 monsters on your field, as long as one of them is a Destiny Hero. And during every one of your opponent's turns, their life points get cut in half. Not to mention he has 3,400, so he's attack-wise the strongest monster in your entire deck. Then you also have Destiny Hero Plasma with 1900. Once per turn, it can absorb one of your opponent's monsters, but only one at a time, and it'll take all of its attack points, or half of its original attack, something like that. But if you have this spell card, D-Force, on top of your deck, which it can be face up on top of your deck with its own effect, then Plasma negates the effects of all monsters on your opponent's field, and it can negate all spells and traps that target any of your cards. So, you know, that because of that, your side deck has a lot of cards that support Destiny Hero Plasma specifically. As for your side deck, though, you know, it's just a lot more hero support, especially to get out your boss monsters or just stronger extra deck cards. You have Fusion Destiny, which can summon a fusion monster using monsters from your deck. So that's really, really good. And using your 2 boss monsters here, you can fuse for Destiny End Dragoon, which not only can it blow up monsters and do damage equal to that monster's attack, but if it's dead, you can banish a Destiny Hero to bring it back during your turn. So that's pretty dope. The last card I'll go over is D Tactics. While it's face up, all your Destiny Hero monsters get 400 points during every player's turn, and that boost remains even if this trap card gets destroyed. Then you can also, I think, remove from play any card in your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard whenever you summon one of your level 8 Destiny Heroes. So that's pretty cool, but that's more or less what this deck does. It's similar to the Elemental Heroes in the style that you have a bunch of low attack monsters that build up to make bigger, better monsters, and they have a lot of cool effects, but definitely takes a lot of patience and thinking in order to use them all correctly. But with that being said, let the duel begin. Round 1 between Aster and Yusuke, and Aster has been selected to go first. He actually opens up with the Terraforming, which is really nice, and he's gonna go ahead and open up with the Clock Tower Prison. Then he has D-Mine, so since he has no Destiny Hero monsters, he can summon a level 3 or lower one from his deck, and he chooses the Disc Commander, because Disc Commander has a useful draw effect if it gets summoned from the graveyard. Then to combo with the Clock Tower Prison, he actually has the Destiny Hero Dread Servant, who can put a counter on the Clock Tower, so we're already accelerating towards that no damage effect. And if Dread Servant were to be destroyed, he could actually pop the Clock Tower Prison, but there's no need because he's actually going to go ahead and sacrifice them to link summon the extra hero Cross Guy. And on summon, Cross Guy can bring back a Destiny Hero, so automatically you have the effect of Disc Commander going off right there, allowing him to draw 2 more cards. And then he's going to use Cross Guy to tribute Disc Commander once again so that he can search for any hero, and he chose to go for Destiny Hero Malicious, which is really interesting because Malicious is better in the graveyard, so you can only assume that he wants to put it in the grave by conducting the fusion summon. Unfortunately for Aster, here not only does Yusuke have Clear World, meaning now he can never attack because his entire deck is dark, but Yusuke also has a Pot of Greed, and he has the Field Barrier, which means that no field spells can be destroyed now until this card leaves the field. And he has the Allure of Darkness, so he's going to banish something in his hand, one of his 2 tribute monsters there, and draw 2 cards. He hit another Allure of Darkness. So what is that? Drawing 6 cards this turn, not counting your draw for the beginning of the turn. Clear Phantom is here, and when Clear Phantom dies in attack mode, he can destroy the monster that killed it in battle, and your opponent throws away the top 3 cards of their deck. So he's going to let that sit there and take a hit in case Aster gets an effect off. Here comes the Diamond Dude. So with Diamond Dude, you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's a normal spell card, meaning like if it doesn't have a symbol right up here, then you can send it to the graveyard and use its effect in the future. If not, it goes to the bottom. Really quick though, Yusuke is going to activate his Attribute Chameleon. Oh, I can't believe he got that so early. It was in the, what is that, the top 10% of his deck. So now he can go ahead and change somebody's attribute. Unfortunately, he lost Doom Lord, which is a really good monster, but I believe, yeah, so he changed Cross Crusader to a fire type, it looks like. So at the end of his turn, Aster will take 1,000 damage, and what's more important about that is targeting the Link monster to change its attribute, because if you want to avoid that effect, then you're basically forced to have to sacrifice your Link monster. Otherwise, you know, what are you gonna really do? You can't use these and go into your Link 3 because then you're gonna be stuck with another Dark monster anyways. So here comes Destiny Draw to get rid of that Malicious and let Aster draw 2 cards. Cross Guy is gonna get rid of the Dark monster on his side of the field with its own effect to search for that Doom Lord that he lost earlier, and he's gonna swing over the Clear Phantom, which unfortunately is not only gonna kill Cross Crusader, but it's gonna cost him his top 3. Ooh, he lost 2 of his fusion cards, so the polymerization that's in his hand is his only chance to fusion summon for the rest of this duel. Very unfortunate, but I guess in a way kind of had to be done, you know. Unfortunately, Yusuke already drew into another Clear Phantom, but with the effect of Defortune, he can negate a direct attack by removing from play a Destiny hero and end that entire battle phase. So now back to Aster. He's going to use Doom Lord to send Phantom into the future, but first, the downside of Doom Lord's effect is that when you banish somebody, you can't attack with any of your monsters that turn. So since he can't attack anyways, Attribute Chameleon changed it to Wind so that Aster wouldn't be able to use any spell cards, because hero decks tend to use a lot of spell cards. And unfortunately for Aster, that's all that he has in his hand. So then he uses the Destiny hero Malicious. By banishing itself, it can summon another copy from the deck, so there goes another one. However, he can't really accomplish anything with it because it's like, okay, yeah, you know, my Link 2 is gone. I could technically fuse these 2, but I'm still left with a Dark monster who can't attack. There's no point, so just gonna go ahead and leave that there. Pass it back over to Yusuke, who has nothing to accomplish for himself either. Diamond Dude's gonna hit the field, but really quick, since he has a good monster out, here comes Escape from the Dark Dimension to bring back the Clear Phantom that Doom Lord sent to the future. It has returned early in order to potentially absorb a hit. He lost another monster down to the bottom, so he's gonna use Greed Pact, which allows both players to draw a card, and hopefully, you know, he can get something good off of this. I believe Attribute Chameleon is going to activate again, so this time he's targeting Doom Lord, and there you go, Wind once again. So no access to spell cards again this turn. He's going to send Clear Phantom back into the future, that way it can't crash into somebody and kill it, or it can't kill the Doom Lord. Clock Tower Prison, you know, is well past 4 counters now, so Aster will not be receiving any battle damage until this duel ends, and it looks like he went ahead and used the Chameleon to turn Doom Lord into a Wind type, and that's really strategic because since you just played the polymerization, you're encouraging them to get rid of this problematic monster on the field if they want to be able to use more spell cards. But unfortunately for Yusuke, you know, he's not going to do that. He's going to use his Malicious and the monster in his hand in order to make Dystopia, which is not only going to get off a little bit of effect damage, but you have to be really, really careful with Dystopia, because if its attack or defense points change at all during either player's turn, you can blow up any card that's on the field. And Aster does have a couple of cards who can boost attack. So there's 800. Here's Dread Servant. So if Dread Servant gets destroyed, theoretically, he could destroy the Clock Tower Prison, but I think he forgot Field Barrier protects both field spells from being destroyed, so that's really a no-go. He's going to have to just pass his turn there because he doesn't want to lose one of his 2 monsters to Clear Phantom. So there's that. Passing back over to Yusuke, he's going to summon a Rage Golem, and he's going to give it the Attribute Bomb. So he chose the Dark Attribute. So whenever Clear Rage Golem attacks a dark monster, Aster's going to take 1,000 points of damage on top of the regular battle damage. So he's going to use Draining Shield here to negate that attack and recover some life points, since he can see already he's going to be taking a lot of effect damage for the near future. He will give the Cyclone Blade to the Diamond Dude though. So if anybody battles Diamond Dude, Cyclone Blade then can let him destroy any spell or trap on the field, so he can either get rid of Field Barrier or Attribute Bomb. He doesn't know it obviously, but Attribute Bomb would be the best since they already have a backup Field Barrier, unless he can somehow destroy both Clear World and the barrier in the same turn. There goes the Chameleon to turn him into Wind, so you know he's only getting one spell card off every single turn, unfortunately, but at least he's getting it off. You know, he could be in a much worse situation. Attribute Bomb's going to do 1,000 damage. Battle damage was negated by the effect of Clock Tower. The Dread Servant tried to destroy Clock Tower, but Barrier protected it. Here comes Swords of Revealing Light, and now Dystopia's Fire. So at the end of this turn, Aster's going to take 1,000 life points damage. Diamond Dude activated the effect, and I believe he missed again. No, okay. So it looks like he hit the Dr. D. So it's going to go to the graveyard, and during the next turn, he can activate Dr. D. During Aster's next turn, I mean. So Yusuke can't accomplish anything, can't attack because of swords, so he's going to go ahead and pass. Pot agreed to draw 2, but really quick, he's going to turn Dystopia to a fire again so he can take damage. Dr. D will revive the Disc Commander, allowing him to draw 2 more cards, and then Diamond Dude will miss again, put a monster on the bottom, but he managed to draw Dogma, so he's going to get rid of his 3 monsters, keep his fusion. Dogma hits the field, and now he doesn't have to attack, because slowly but surely Yusuke's attack points, or life points, excuse me, are going to start decreasing rapidly. They're going to get cut in half every turn. He's going to go ahead and activate Blade Master to not only boost all of his Destiny heroes by 800, but trigger Dystopia's effect, which will let him blow up a card. He chooses the attribute Chameleon, so that he's no longer suffering those various effects, but now he's stuck with dark monsters for good, so he will never be able to attack. It's going to be very interesting to see how he climbs himself out of that hole. And Yusuke activates Attribute Mastery, so now whenever the Clear Phantom battles a dark monster, that dark monster will automatically die, so he's going to swing it into nobody because of swords. This is going to give him one last opportunity. Aster could do absolutely nothing with that, for now at least, but Yusuke is already down to 1,700 when he had well over 6,000. He's going to set another trap card, use Deformation, and whenever a Destiny hero dies, it'll get 1 counter. And you can throw it away when it has at least 2 counters whenever you summon a hero, so that you can get all the copies of that hero to your hand, I believe. So that could be neat for the future, but you know, for right now he has no back row space. And really clever here, Yusuke is going to pay his life points even further. He's going to cut them in half once more to activate the Return from the Different Dimension, to bring back the Clear Vice Dragon and the Clear Vicious Knight, so he can have multiple attacks on board. He's going to give the Rage Golem the Attribute Mastery. So now Golem and Phantom can basically one-hit KO any dark monster and do 1,000 damage. At least the Golem can. No damage there. The Dystopia is dead. D-Shield to attempt to protect the Dogma and switch it into defense mode, but that doesn't, one, that doesn't protect Aster's life points from Attribute Bomb, 2, that doesn't protect Dogma from Mastery. But the big brain play there is he knew it wasn't going to protect him. Believe he was just using that so that he can have an open space in case he draws a spell or a trap next turn, but he will take no direct damage as well because of Clock Tower Prison, and the 2 monsters get removed from play once again at the end of that turn. So really, in the grand scheme of things, sure, he was able to get rid of the monsters, but was it worth that extra having your life points? I'm not entirely sure, but we'll go ahead and see who ends up winning this. Aster decides not to do anything because he's sitting comfortably, thanks to the Clock Tower Prison. You know, with no dark monsters, you're not giving Attribute Bomb a target to do the 1,000 damage to you, so he's sitting nice and pretty, stocking up his hand, and that is the true danger of the Clock Tower Prison, is it allows you to gather many resources until you're ready to go back out there and make another play. I do apologize that there is a lot of dead play here. He's going to tribute a Vice Dragon face down just to clear up some monster space and take up a space in his hand. And the decks are getting very thin here. He's going to flip summon the dragon. Has nothing else he can really accomplish though. And after drawing a Destiny Signal, Aster's ready to finally set a monster down. So you know, knowing it's going to go ahead and get destroyed, he goes ahead and takes that risk. He's going to go ahead and swing with the Clear Rage Golem, and some absolute bullshit happens where Attribute Bomb has no way of knowing if this monster is dark yet because it hasn't been flipped up, but somehow he still took the 1000 damage. That's pretty bullshit, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. So Decider gets destroyed. Nothing's gonna happen yet. He still has absolutely nothing to work with. He has to really wait to get a monster, I guess, in order to get something going. And he does get the Destiny Hero Defender, so that's going to hit the field in attack mode with 100 attack points, 27 defense, and it's going to hopefully get some trap cards off. He's going to use the D-Shield to quote-unquote protect them, although obviously, you know, Mastery was going to destroy the Defender anyways. So now he has a space open in his spell trap card zone once again to continue his plays. MST to destroy the field barrier, and the other field barrier in his hand was discarded because it's been so many turns. Yusuke, I guess, just figured, hey, I don't need this second one. There's no way he's gonna really do anything. So Graceful Charity is finally gonna get to see some play. Gonna draw 3 and discard 2, and it looked like he I'm so sorry. It looked like they chose to throw away D-Chain and Dynatag. So interesting. And he threw away his other boss monster, Plasma, for the Destiny draw, just to bring out Captain Tenacious. So 800 attack points is not going to really accomplish too much here, but again, his life points are safe, so it is what it is. And he's going to use the D counter, baiting in one of the 2 monsters. So one of the Mastery holders is gone. It's just a Clear Rage Golem. Unfortunately, he didn't get to kill the one with the Attribute Bomb, so he's going to still be taking that 1000 points of damage. And Allure of Darkness is being seen here, so he's going to go ahead and also draw into another Attribute Bomb. So now both monsters could be potentially doing 2000 points of damage every single turn that Aster has a monster. He's going to go ahead and summon Doomlord, pop the deformation, and get back his other copy of Doomlord. And by banishing the Clear Rage Golem, you're getting rid of 2 of those equip spells. So now all you have is a Vice Dragon with an Attribute Bomb. But again, his life points are safe from the double attack points thing. They're not safe from the bomb, though. He's going to take that 1000. But as soon as Doomlord dies, here comes Captain Tenacious. And now that he's going to be on the field at the very beginning of Aster's turn, Captain Tenacious will be able to revive the Doomlord. Yusuke tries to prevent this by using Escape from the Dark Dimension to bring back another monster to attack additionally with. However, since it's still the battle phase, Aster can use Trap Jammer to negate and destroy that trap card, meaning Captain Tenacious is perfectly safe. Standby phase, his effect brings back the Doomlord to clear up some room for them, sends the Vice Dragon into the future, all the equip spells are gone, summons another Doomlord, that way he can have some bodies on the field for this next turn. Yusuke has no option but to set a card face down in his back row, and Aster Tribute summons the Dreadmaster, so he gets to keep the effects of Clock Tower Prison, and he gets to summon 2 Destiny Heroes from his graveyard. He's going to choose Defender and Dystopia, so he gets an extra 29, so he has 3,500, and he's going to go ahead and also activate Blade Master from hand to not only increase all of their attack points by 800, or, you know, Dreadmaster basically doubled here, but Dystopia's attack points changed, so he gets to destroy the clear world, allowing him to attack for game. 41 turns. Wow. Round 2. I am exhausted from that first round. Yusuke is going first. He's going to open up with the Pot of Greed and the Allure and the Field Barrier and the Clear World. So what a beautifully powerful opening. He does also have a Dawn Knight here, meaning that he did go ahead and swap in all of his Chaos stuff, leaving only some of the clear monsters. Aster's going to activate Destiny Draw, but first here's the Attribute Chameleon, so he's got to watch out for that. He did manage to start the duel with this commander, so that's already in the graveyard, which can be really handy. Polymerization for Dystopia to get that out early and to do some quick burn damage, but first he's going to change Dystopia's attribute to Earth, so at the end of this turn, Dystopia has to kill itself if he has no other monster he can destroy. And I believe he already normal summoned, so he's going to use Blade Master at least to destroy Field Barrier. Honestly, maybe I would have destroyed the Attribute Chameleon. I'm not sure why he didn't go for that, so he can keep his Dystopia, but whatever, you know. It's probably one of those, it seems good in the moment. And since he killed the Dawn Knight, he gets to throw away a light monster from his deck, so he chooses a Chaos Valkyria. He doesn't need 2, he already has 1, and the Attribute Chameleon screwed over Dystopia. But here comes the Clear Rage Golem, who will now attack for 16. and since whenever it attacks directly, you take 300 points of damage for every card in your hand. So that's going to be 19 actually. By banishing a light and dark, here comes the Chaos Valkyria with a fat 1800. And since Valkyria got banished, he got to put a card back into his deck. So that's 19 right there, and that's 18 right there, putting Aster at a measly 4,300. The life points are just about tied. So he summons the Destiny Hero Celestial, and it can destroy an equipped spell card on your opponent's field, but it can't really do anything in this situation. But Attributes Chameleon is going to turn him to Earth so that he's allowed to attack, because, you know, he's under the guise of, oh, you're going to lose your monster this turn if you don't do something. But by being able to crash into the Golem, not only does he get rid of one of the threats, but he gets to activate his own Destiny Signal to summon out the Destiny Hero Fearmonger, so that when it gets destroyed, he can bring back another Destiny Hero at the start of his next turn. Here comes yet another clear Golem, so there's going to be another 1900 point. Oh, excuse me, just a 1600 because he has no hand. And now Fearmonger is going to revive the Dystopia. So there we go. It all worked out in the end. Dystopia is back, and Aster does have that Fusion Destiny in his hand. First, he's going to use D-Chain, which will give Dystopia 500, allowing him to destroy the clear world. So I guess, you know, at the end of the day, maybe it was a good thing he popped the barrier. Fusion Destiny is going to fuse Destiny Hero Plasma with Destiny Hero Dogma to create the Destiny End Dragoon. So now he has two really fat monsters on board. D-Chain's going to do another 500. End Dragoon's going to run over the Golem, leaving Yusuke with 1,000. Escape from the Dark Dimension will get him the cube to stall for one attack, and he managed to draw another monster, but it doesn't matter, because as soon as he summons this, Dragoon can pop it and do 1,200 points of damage. And unfortunately, he already lost one of his clear cube, and there goes another one because he drew an MST. Aster drew an MST, and with the brutal victory, Aster has won the duel.